Hi, welcome to the Teen Art and Science Club. Today we are going to be discussing experiments in clothes dyeing. So way back in the day, people used to use different plants and things found in nature to dye their clothes. There wasn't a lot of chemicals and different things like that. Did you know that you can still do that today? That you could go to your grocery store and pick up different fruits and vegetables and other plants and things, and you can use them to dye your clothes and make different colors if you really wanted to. Today I'm going to show you some of the things that we experimented with and tell you how they all turned out. First of all, some of the things that you're going to need to do these experiments, you're going to need some kind of white fabric. I used just some cotton bandanas that I picked up on Amazon to try everything out. You are going to need a couple pots and a stove so you can boil things. You are going to need something to stir or pick up your cloth with to move things around and to stir and push it down and make sure that everything's covered. Also to stir your ingredients. I know I have tongs, but you can use a spoon too. Both work perfectly fine. You're going to need a strainer because once you boil whatever you decide to use, you are going to need to strain it from your dye so that your cloth isn't going to be covered in strawberries or raspberries or whatever you decide to use. You are going to need water and you are going to need vinegar, and then you're going to need to choose what ingredient you want to use to make your dye. A bunch of different fruits and vegetables will create different colors. So if you were to choose something like a strawberry or a raspberry, you'll probably end up with a pink or a red color. If you choose blueberries, you'll get a dark purpley color. If you choose something like turmeric, you'll get yellow. If you choose something like spinach or kale, you'll get greens. And down below in our video, in the comment area down there, we've got a list of some of the different things you can try out, but I'm going to show you what I did. So, my first experiment that I did, I tried strawberries because I wanted to create a red. First what I did, and this one I did different than the other ones, and it didn't turn out as well as I was hoping. And I will tell you why. So, the first part, you're going to take a chopped up ingredient, so in this case, strawberries, and I used 1 cup of strawberries to 2 cups of water. The instructions on how to do all this is down in the in the comments below as well. So if you don't remember 1 part to 2 parts, it's down below. So I took my strawberries, chopped them all up, put them in a bowl, and I boiled them for about an hour. What kind of amazed me is that strawberries turn almost completely white when you boil them. I didn't know that at all. So this is what happened when I boiled them. They turned white. I boiled them for about an hour, and then I strained them out so I could get the colored water or my dye. What I did next is I took my white bandana and I stuck it in a new bowl with the liquid dye that I had created, and I let it sit for about 3 hours. So the longer you let something sit, the darker the color should be, and the more likely it is to stick. So this is what happened after about 3 hours. It turned kind of a nice pink. I figured, I think I'm done. I'm going to take it out of the dye. What you do then is you rinse it off in cold water, you wring it out, and you hang it up to dry. My mistake with this one is that I didn't do the extra step of preparing my cloth before I tried dyeing it. So this is what happened to my strawberry one. It turned a lot lighter than I thought it would, and I kind of got these weird streaks on it when it dried. And that was because I didn't do the second step, or the preparing of the white cloth ahead of time. So I would advise, if you want to do strawberries, you want a pink color, it would probably even get darker than this if you did this one correctly. To make sure that you do you prepare your cloth before you get to it. So to prepare your cloth, to understand what I'm saying there is, so while you are boiling your ingredients, so in that case it was strawberries, in my next one it was raspberries. While you're boiling that for an hour, you want to take your white cloth, stick it in your pot, put it on the stove with water and vinegar. The vinegar is going to help keep the dye on your cloth after it dries. It's also going to help you keep the evenness of it, because you know my strawberry one kind of has some odd streaks on it. So it's going to help fix that problem. So this is all I did. Had my white cloth in the pot boiling in vinegar and water. If you want the correct proportions, check down below in our comment section. Like I said, all the instructions are down there. It was really easy. It was preparing well. The dye was preparing. Super, super easy. So with the raspberries, I didn't cut them up like I did with the strawberries. I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it, so I just dumped them in whole. As they were boiling for the hour, they actually pretty much just fell apart. And you can see how they looked here. It kind of looks like a mush. And by the time it got to the dye, it turned into a nice darker pink like that. Every single one that I did turned out a little bit lighter than they looked while sitting in the dye. So this one was about 3 hours as well, sitting in the dye. If you leave it in overnight, you'll even get a better color. So I would experiment and try with that. My raspberry one, the final product, even though I used the vinegar and did it correctly, it turned out much lighter than I thought it was going to. But unlike the strawberries, there's no streaks on it at all. So it turned out a really nice light pink. So I discovered that raspberries make a nice pink, and so do strawberries. If you want it darker, like I said, leave it in overnight and see what happens. The next one I tried turned out kind of really cool. I did blueberries. So for the blueberries, I cut each one in half. I threw them in the pot, so it looked like that. Kind of looks weird and mushy. But as it sat for the hour, it got really, really dark, which kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting that to happen. So it got really dark. And my dye with my bandana in it was like this. So I was curious, because it looked much darker than the strawberries and the raspberries, what the final product was going to look like. I did do the vinegar with this one again, so I have no streaks, and it turned out a really nice purple. It was really cool. No streaks, nice color. I would say this one and the next one I'm going to show you are the two best ones that I got. So the last one I experimented with and tried, I decided I wanted to do kind of like a yellow. So turmeric is one of the things you can use. I had a powder in my house that we use for cooking sometimes. So I didn't have the actual plant, and I was not sure that the powder was going to work, so I decided to try it anyway. I boiled my water, put a bunch of powder in. It was just kind of an experiment, so I didn't have an actual measurement. I didn't do like 2 cups of turmeric to 1 cup of water or anything like that. It was just straight, I'm just going to dump some in, and it looks like my water's turning yellow, so it looks like it's working. Kind of a deal. I did the vinegar on my bandana for this one, so I ended up with no streaks, which was great. My turmeric, while it was boiling, looked like this. It just looks like almost kind of like soup broth without anything in it, just boiled yellow water. When it was sitting in the pot, or when I was actually dyeing the cloth, I should say, I was kind of worried because it looked like the powder was still kind of sticking into the cloth, and I was like, ooh, I don't think that's going to be good. But it ended up not affecting the final outcome at all. This is what it looked like when it was in the pot getting dyed. And I left it in again for about 3 hours. All of mine were about 3 hours long. But like I said, if you want the darker color, leave it in longer. My final turmeric bandana color turned out very yellow. It was a really nice golden color there. So I was really happy with the outcome of that one. I want to see what you guys do. So if you try this experiment at home, leave us a comment or bring in the stuff that you dye and show us. We'd love to see what you did. And I hope everything works out for you. If you ever have any questions, just call us up or email us and let us know. Ask for the team department and we'll help you out as best as we can. But until next time, we'll see you around.